So again, excited to have Potfolio here and Moby back. We did, host the team during the fair launch stage for GDS. Previously about 7 months ago now or something like that. It's been a while, but again, it's really exciting to have you guys back here. I love the concept when we first had you on, and I think that hasn't changed for me. Looking to bring in the first decentralized crypto ETF. I mean, obviously, it's not a small goal you're trying to tackle. So again, I always love these big ambitious visions. For me, it's definitely more engaged discussion. There's a lot more pieces to the puzzle. So I know that your ecosystem here, in terms of how you built it out previously on, your V1, I guess we'll call it at this point. You guys did quite well in terms of the actual investment side and some of the assets you were able to accrue. So I am, interested to know how you guys are planning to scale that part of the business back up. And also, again, how the holders are really going to benefit from this. At the end of the day, without your community, without those holding and supporting the token, it's really tough to accomplish much. So we are going to focus a lot of the discussion back to how, holders of the tokens or, people who are adding, maybe liquidity or acting as validators within the ecosystem potentially here can gain value. I know you guys had, some really interesting plans for NFTs on your V1. So I am really curious to catch up with you on what you're planning to do and maybe incorporate NFTs again into Potfolio here. So again, Moby, you've had a good track record in the space. I think your all-time high on your one project was around 330x. And I did say, GDS did quite well, garnered a lot of attention from multiple callers at different levels in the space. So I'm excited to have you guys back on. You're currently holding around 400K market cap. So, based on your past successes, that's pretty low. So I'm excited for what you have to say with us today. And I know you as a grinder, you're not satisfied with where you guys are at right now, and I can't wait to learn about the future, man. So I'm gonna throw myself on mute just so you don't get any feedback, and I'll give you maybe a couple of minutes. Reintroduce yourself, obviously, your background in the space, and then jump right into what we got here at Potfolio.
So, sure thing. Thank you for the introduction, real quick, and yeah, just start off with the project and with myself. So, let's start with me, I guess. My name is Moby Dick. Most of you guys know me from different projects that we did earlier on, and know from original Gold Dodge Sacks, which were branded into Portfolio, just because of some legal reasons. And did for myself, I've been into the crypto sector for quite a while. So I have a background in investment banking, and I've been in touch with crypto and bigger currencies for quite a while. And I really came into the whole uh, Binance Smartchain sphere when saving was around. So where like the time where most of the people probably joined into the crypto space, and it really catched me from that way on. And I really was thinking about, well, what would be a cool addition to the whole crypto sphere itself? Because I like the Binance Smart Chain as it is, like the decentralized way, a lot, because you don't have a lot of regulation going on. You don't have the problem that your keys are on a central exchange or anything, but you rather trade on chain. So you basically only rely on the blockchain, on your own keys itself. And I really like the idea. But on the other hand, I kind of miss some tools for investing, because as I mentioned, I have a background in investment banking, and mostly what I do is like by buying ETFs and trading ETFs and stuff like this. And for example, like S&P 500 and stuff like this. And I really was like unsure if there's something around already that would be like an, you can call it an ETF ecosystem in crypto. I was searching a little bit, and I found some tries from different stuff that were really like really regulated and centralized, but I didn't like the way, because all of my cryptos I'm holding them decentralized, either way, simply in my trust wallet, or I hold them on a ledger and stuff like this. So I've decided to come up with an idea, get my people together, and we decided to think about the idea how portfolio could actually be. Um, we started to think about a decentralized crypto ETF ecosystem, basically where you hold all of this stuff on a decentralized wallet, 100% transparent for everyone, which is a super cool thing. Because when you think about big giants in the tech like Binance and stuff like this, it really took them quite a while until they get like 100% transparency with the funds they hold and how the actual assets are backed. It really took a lot of stuff like the FTX collapse and stuff like this to show off what they really got. And no, we 100% know they're safe and stuff like this, but you could have never known before. And as well for other central exchanges, they are not as quite transparent as Binance, for example. So our idea was to make it 100% transparent. Everyone knows what is actually right now, what kind of worth is in the portfolio, what is working for the community and stuff like this. So the portfolio that we actually created contains 13 different assets. Originally, it had 14 assets, but we get rid of Solana some month ago because they're like Solana has a huge problem with centralization and the blockchain is not working from time to time because they pause it and stuff like this. As well as you might know, FTX Sam Fried Bankman, he was a big supporter from Solana and stuff like this, and I really think they had a big downfall, and I think they might even like get back in price and stuff like this, but we rather want to distance ourselves from them because of all the centralization that is happening at that blockchain. So we decided to diversify it through 13 different assets instead of 14 like it was originally. For the portfolio itself, maybe I can just go through it like real quick. It's like around like we hold the whole portfolio itself is always whenever we get taxes from buys and sells, we have 6% from buys and 6% from sells that is going into the portfolio. That means if someone buys, for example, like $100, then $6 is going into the community portfolio, which is basically a second support line beside the lick. So what we're having in there, like how is it allocated? We have a spreadsheet when we invest, when we DCA into those assets, and it's like Bitcoin, for example, has a share of 31%, Ethereum a share of 21%, BNB is kind of around 9%. We have Polygon, Matic basically in it with 4.8% around that. Cardano, Aether is around with 4.4%. Then there's well like all of these different percentage, and then we have Uniswap, XRP, Avalanche, Dot, Tron, Doge, Litecoin, and Link. This is basically the portfolio. You see there is like and clearly spike and how much percentage actually the portfolio invests into which token, because obviously a Bitcoin is more likely to have an higher price impact and a safer volatility rate than a Link, for example, or a Doge. So that way we really did the math back in the day on how we diversify it perfectly. And yeah, it kind of works, I would say, because right now the portfolio already has let me check the current status. It says $161,634. So quite some big numbers you could say in a portfolio. Even when you think about how small our market cap right now is, we're having a market cap, as you said, of 400K. Um, even when it's not 100% correct, because we tend to have a little more because we burned 45% of the token. So the actual worth that is shown on PoolCoin is not 100% accurate. I would say it's more about like 520K or something. Um, yeah, so let me real quick check this. What we have as well is, which is kind of interesting, I think, what we can talk at the beginning as well. Because we migrated like two times. We had the first attempt back in the day where we went cross chain for Ethereum and Binance, but we learned from that with all the arbitrage trading that is going on, that we were not able to sustain a decent price law, and people were rather trying to exploit the stuff and the ETH site and stuff like this. So we decided to cancel this, give everyone a one-to-one migration with the worth, and got all of the people back to the BSC side. And the cool thing that is there's still leak over from all of the previous versions. That means even when you look at it right now, we have around 162 BNB in the leak. This is around $50,000 or something, or $47,000. We have another around $130,000 that will come whenever the lick locks expires. For example, for um, let me look real quick. I think in April we'll have the first league unlock, which will be basically around a buyback around 30K. And then we have an V1 liquidity lock that is running out, and then we'll have a buyback of 80K. That means we basically pumping another 130K into the project, while we have to do nothing else beside that. Even only from the liquidity, if you invest into it right now and just wait like 5 to 6 more months, then you will have like in 3 to 4x on your investment, let alone only with this. This is kind of cool. So I don't know. I think you can speak again. Maybe you can go on and ask some more questions because
Yeah, no, so in
it's
terms of the, voting mechanism or like how you guys is there a way that the community gets involved or like how do you guys determine what may be added in and what may be, sold or liquidated from that that grouping?
Basically no. So what is actually happening is like the portfolio, the diversified portfolio. I came up with the math on my own. I diversified it myself, and I said, okay, guys, the reason why this token works is because I know what I'm doing. I know how it's allocated to 100%. And we've decided the only community decision that we had was basically to remove Solana from it. Because I made a poll and talked a little bit about my concerns with Solana, and the people said, okay, let's remove it from the portfolio. But other than that, there's like no real like community involvement on how we actually diversify the portfolio. It's all in my hands. um but like how the people benefit from the portfolio is maybe good to say, because whenever the portfolio makes a profit in a given month, so let's say the whole portfolio worth that we bought for is like around 100K, for example, and the portfolio makes a 20% profit in that given moment, or in that given month, then we have like 200,000 profit, and those $200,000 will be used to make a buyback on the own token itself. This means we, instead of sharing it between all of the people in the project, we kind of instead buy it back into our own ecosystem, and people can then sell off the tokens with a profit, or they decide to keep longer in the project, and whenever someone leaves the project with the profit, they basically leave you a bigger share after that, because you have more of the portfolio left over for yourself. So this is kind of how it works. I know it's a little bit complicated. It's not like the common meme coin that is known in the BC or anything, and it rather goes into a really big long-term vision. I know a lot of projects that launched at the same time than we launched. They're basically not around anymore. And even when crypto projects they say long-term, they mean 2 weeks. So we kind of more focusing on like going into the next years, especially when we have 2024 with the next Bitcoin halving next year and stuff like this. So this will be the time where our project really will outshine any other project of the BC.
Perfect. So again, I love the concept here, but it's obviously one that if you talk like terms ETF and on like these, investment vehicles that we're discussing, it's something that you, sorry about that, you hear a little bit more about in the real world than you maybe hear about in DeFi. So how do you try and transition some of that audience or, normies, for lack of a better term, who would have the, investment understanding or would be more comfortable with the terminology here into a project like this?
Basically, our newest approach is to go more for organic social media stuff. I think it kind of works good, as you see on the chart, because we start to produce some content for YouTube Shorts, some content for TikTok and stuff like this, and really going into like getting the normies from a normal social media with buzzwords that are always related to crypto as well, but as well related to investment, and keep them eyes on us like that way. This is really a good approach, I think. And as well, we worked on our explanations. We have a documentation page, for example, on our website where you can see how you can start in DeFi, how you can create a wallet with Trust Wallet, how you can trade with PancakeSwap, and all of that information you will find on our website. So really trying to bridge the transition there for people who come from the normal world into the BSC, because right now there's an huge gap because people tend to not know how to buy these tokens and stuff like this, because they maybe only use central exchanges, or even have never used anything before, and has no clue what crypto in general is. So some tutorials from our side are given already, and we will extend on that further in later stages.
Perfect. So, now I would like to walk back a little bit. I know we kind of briefly touched on it. I didn't go into a ton of details, but what was the reason for like I understand, there's some issues with the V1, but what was the reason for like the rebrand? Was it to more so as you scale, get away from that potential association with like Goldman Sachs that could arise? I mean, that was something that I know we talked about in the first AMA, but I don't know if that was something that, led into the decision to kind of change it up. But yeah, I just wanted to go a little bit back in history here for a second.
It actually happened. So we had a legal dispute with the company we shared the name from. Don't want to speak too much about it, but if you Google the whole thing, then you will find it that there was a legal dispute. And yeah, it's. I didn't think that it's really like, because you see all of this Twitter dodge and I don't know, like Facebook dodge and whatever coming from every side and having no legal problems whatsoever. But it seems like they didn't find it quite as funny as we did, and so this was the final decision to rebrand it. And we especially rebranded ourselves not only into one part, but we um, because when you remember, we started the first project in terms of expanding on different portfolios and different projects, and we as well have another project running at the given time as well, which is called Poo Funds. That is basically an hedge fund manager from the before hedge fund manager for the BSC. And we rebranded ourselves into Bank of Chains, which is like the word above everything. And then it's going to be split into different stuff that is coming. That is not only projects that are tokenized, but we rather focusing on bringing tools for crypto space as well. For example, I think I can talk about it already a little bit, but we are working on something like Gleam.io that is especially built for the blockchain, where you can basically get people to chill and work on their stuff, and they get instant airdrops and stuff like this. So this is something we're working on right now. So this is not a tokenized project. This will be a tool that we will give out to everyone who wants to use it.
Sweet. And yeah, I appreciate you like obviously disclosing what you can on that. I did, because based on your vision and the fact that again, people who are in DeFi and maybe on some of the bigger, social networks, uh, if this thing kind of takes off, you had a trendy name. I figured it may, but again, we're not going to go too deep into that. I respect the decision to kind of rebrand and push forward. So yeah, I think the concept obviously is the reason why I like the idea when we first discussed, and the concept again, is just evolving. So I'm still excited for what the future holds. I know there will be, a a percentage of individuals who maybe don't understand the need, but I get it from more of a mainstream perspective. So was there a percentage or an airdrop to older holders? Was there a migration that occurred? Just walk us back a little bit through, because I know some of our, people in this channel invested probably in GDS, and then, if they're like me, maybe they held it for a little bit longer. I'm not a chart watcher, so this would be one. If there was a migration or something, I'd be like, whoop, I missed it.
Yeah, no worries. So we actually had a migration the first time from V1 to V2, where we basically went like cross chain for Ethereum and BSC, and then we had unfortunately another migration because of the rebranding. But whenever you miss the migration or anything, we have a spreadsheet for this, and here we have our team member Mega Bobo is doing all of the migrations manually if you miss them. and you can still migrate from any time. So even when you still hold V1 tokens, you can still come into our group, speak with us about it, and we will get you back the same worth that you earlier had in the project.
I
So
just wanted to address that with everybody, just because, there may be some people who, like myself, took a bit of a break with the market
yeah, yeah.
shifting. This was something maybe they looked at a bit longer term. So awesome. Thanks for touching on that, Mo.
Yeah, that's the reason why we actually took ourselves this time as well quite a while for the migration, because it was over the Christmas days, and a lot of the community said no, make the launch at Christmas time and stuff like this. And I was saying no, guys, let's make it properly. Let's wait for January 15th at least, so where the migration ends, and get everyone like really catch a glimpse, because not everyone is watching into Telegram daily, and some people as well are not using even Telegram. They might bought it from different sources, and they have to figure out what is going on. So we had really to go into all of our social medias and stuff like this, and inform these people like on a daily basis what is actually happening right now. Even some people are emailing us and stuff like this, and unfortunately, on the one side, it really sounds bullish, because we had to give our old domain gold.sex. It's now in the hands of Goldman Sachs, so we don't have access to it anymore. But I think we did a good job in transition all of the people over.
Then in terms of, because you guys are still only like a couple days after the relaunch, like what's the plan to, again, you maybe go out and reconnect with some of the communities, because you did a lot of marketing beforehand and were featured in a
Mhm.
lot of groups, not only before, some of the success, but also a lot heavily during that run up.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, what we have as well is we're going into different communities again. Just for example, like some launches, if I can call them by name, like Welcome Talk, Future Launch, and stuff like this, where we heavily market ourselves in. I'm like in every group, I really did AMAs and stuff like this. You will see me flying around there from time to time and speak about it and stuff, to just catch everyone who was part of it. And as well, we're coming for all of the marketing stuff as well. We're here again for another AMA. I think some people might be here in the AMA and think themselves, "Hey, wait, I just bought V1, but I forgot about it," and they will then come into the group and ask for the potential migration and stuff like this. So there's a lot of stuff going on on that regard.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can definitely respect that approach, and you do really want to go back to that initial group and base that believed in you and heard about the project early, because those will be likely the ones that you're going to have the most success maybe reconnecting with, and
Yeah.
having those individuals backing again the rebrand will be important for that, again, potential run up in the future as you guys look to scale.
Exactly, and as well, like I said, we always say when you still have V1, and it doesn't matter if it's in 2 or 3 years, we will have a spreadsheet over the years, and can simply then like airdrop you the amount that is left over. We have enough spare tokens. We did the math on it to have enough spare tokens left over for everyone who wants to migrate, that he has the chance to. So nothing is lost in that regards.
Yeah, awesome. So I do want to, jump back a little bit more into the utility of this one, if that's okay,
Mhm.
Moby. So,
Sure.
with regards to your actual, rollout of the ETF, now, do people only contribute through purchasing your tokens, or is there a way that somebody
Exactly.
is able to actually add liquidity or fiat directly into that pool?
Right now it's only doable through the token itself, because it's easier for us to determine the percentage share, because it's easily readable on the blockchain. So everyone has simply their share until they leave the project and take profit with them, or DCA out and DCA in and stuff like this. So it's a little bit different than a real ETF. It's like you're not like a 100% shareholder, but rather profit from the percentage of token you hold, in terms of how much buyback is coming in and how much you can benefit from it from your token worth. So it's a little bit different than that. We thought ourselves a little bit about those ideas about giving liquidity to the portfolio or anything. So, for example, when someone says we have, let's just go with even numbers for to make the math easier. Let's say the portfolio is $1 million big, and someone decided to say, guys, I want to add 100K to the portfolio, and then basically we would have to give him like a 10% share, or however you would do the math on it, like, to make it exactly with going on. And we decided to do not to do it at this given moment because we don't have like enough liquidity in the project itself yet. So it would be a cool thing to do so in on later stages when the portfolio goes for to be a multi-million dollar portfolio. But right now, when the project itself isn't heavily liquidated, it would be I think an like an issue to give someone an higher share and percentage of the whole thing to be a liquidity giver.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's something that I think just speaking to different people in the space and, larger investors, I understand that sometimes when they want to get involved with a project like this, they would prefer to be available on the liquidity side or on that option. So yeah, like as you
Mm.
guys introduce that like that into the ecosystem, it will open up the door personally from what I understand about these projects to some bigger investors coming in there. So again, something to look forward to. And maybe for some of those bigger people out there waiting and watching, that's when they maybe decide to get involved in the project.
Yeah, I think like back in the day, someone actually forgot to check. They opened up a trust, so they had kind of that thing going on where basically people could buy with fiat, I think, as well, and just they buy the tokens in the blockchain and have the percentage share, I think. So building a trust over the time would be a cool idea as well. But I think at that given moment, we kind of focus on the BSC side for now, and I think this is a good idea that they will t- take today back to the team and ask about them how we can actually do this and how we should do this or if we should do this and discuss this a little bit more and how we can actually do it.
I mean, I think that, obviously you don't push the marketing around that now. Once that becomes part of the ecosystem, I do think again, it adds a different level and we'll start opening it up to some bigger networks potentially for you guys. So I think the marketing may be geared towards some bigger investors, some private groups and stuff around that. Release could be
Mm.
successful for getting a good liquidity raise there. I've been learning a lot more about ILOs and liquidity offerings, from some of the groups that I spend time in. So it's nice to kind of be able to talk on that. Now again, I do want to touch on NFTs because again, I know it was something you were planning on utilizing in GDS. Now I'm not sure if maybe the rebrand have shifted anything. In terms of the token, I mean, I know I've seen NFTs as a great use case or usage in terms of an access pass or an entry pass. I mean, I know that's a lot of the non-artistic ones are more so
Mm.
used as a holding tool or entry. So I don't know if you plan on incorporating that instead of the token at any point in the future as maybe different tiered levels or different. If you hold this NFT, you can contribute more towards the fund versus if you're on the bottom tiered NFT, it would be a way to structure and gauge how many investors you have where in your platform.
Yeah, so basically for NFTs, we don't have like any NFT with functionality yet planned, or at least not in that regard. What we actually talked about today is that our community decided to have some, because they want to just have to have some NFTs as profile picture and stuff like this for Twitter and everything. So we decided to give them what they want. We will launch a small NFT collection on Monday, which will basically very cheap and like basically to non-profit for us. It's rather just to give the community some engagement to do it and get some reach and maybe trend on there and get some eyes of NFT enthusiasts into our project and stuff like this. So really no big function behind it. Probably it will be just like an like buyback function for whenever NFT is getting traded. We will have, for example, I think it's 5% provision for every buy and sell or something on OpenSea. I'm not 100% sure how it works actually, because I'm not into NFTs too much. So we'll have like a small share, and whenever they trade it and stuff like this, we simply use the money that we will get to use it as a buyback on our own chart. This is the idea for our first NFTs, and then we could later rely on two different systems, give him some more layers into the NFT stuff as well. But we will um, simply look into it if our community likes the idea of NFTs, and do it with a like not so cost intensive product at first, just to give a glimpse if our community is open to buy NFTs, use NFTs and stuff like this, just to have some marketing analysis on our own community, and that we could actually say we can like do it in bigger packs. For example, the first NFT pack has only this kind of function, and then the next NFT can have some on top layer functions and stuff like this. And yeah, just getting a quick glimpse on it. So I think when what you remember of NFTs is back in the day we talked a bit about different portfolios, like a portfolio extension. For example, buying all of these bigger blue chip NFTs, like I don't know, like bought apes or something. You can stake them, lend them, and make money with them, and actually could be like an passive income from all of that stuff. Like the whole community could own together one ape and stuff like this. This was the idea back in the day, but we don't have any like plans to do it in the close future, because I think right now the portfolio, as I said, is around 160K. This is quite a lot for the size of our project, and it's really good for us. And spending all of that money like now on the one big NFT would be like an chaotic experience, you could imagine, because we rather rely on a more safe and less volatile diversified portfolio at the beginning, instead of going too hard on these things. But yeah, this is something for the future. Maybe we can do additions and say, hey guys, what do you think about, let's buy one board ape from the next volume that goes in, and stuff like this.
Okay, so you guys,
And
you plan to
just
add an aspect of treasury then within the NFT side too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But just as we speak, and just to give you a cool glimpse of how the portfolio is actually performing right now in the market, we just seen since the beginning from the AMA, I told it's 161K. We already set up on 165K now. So the portfolio made a good profit of
Okay, pumping
4K in the
in the
last
last
30
like
minutes.
45 minutes or so. Nice. I like it. I like it. Markets must be looking pretty good then today. Oh, we got some questions coming in. That's awesome. We'll get to those in a little bit there, guys. I am just here looking at everything. I think we kind of covered, I guess from a security standpoint, right? Like, is there an amount that you're able to withdraw from the ecosystem at one point? Like if you were looking to cash out of, I guess, the pool, or how does that work?
Like from the token itself, like, or from some
If you
basic.
just sell the token, you withdraw your right to the rewards from the fund.
So basically how it works is that you sell your token basically to gain the profit. So the profit is always not realized, because instead of the portfolio itself sharing it with every wallet that holds to a different percentage, it rather just buybacks into the own chart, and people can then, after those buybacks, sell a small amount and realize some profits. And while doing so, they also as well feed again the portfolio itself. This gives us and kind of a second layer for the liquidity side, and a second layer for the sustaining side of the portfolio, that it doesn't die off and dies on volume, because as other projects, we're not that in deep like that dependent on volume itself. because the portfolio will have like volatility anyway all the time, depending on how the market runs. We're not 100% like if another project has no volume, it's dead. If we don't have a volume, it doesn't matter because the crypto market itself has volume and the portfolio still can run from time to time depending on the market situation. So this is kind of cool.
Okay, so so that's a little bit easier than from an entry and exit standpoint in the ecosystem. So that's nice, and I guess it's a little bit less stressful because, like you said, instead of the fund having to read through the smart contract and determine the allocation to the different holders of
Exactly.
their percentages, it's going to be done in more a buyback method to increase the chart. Now, those tokens bought back, where are those essentially stored in the fund now, or will those be burned? Just wanted to figure out now
Burned.
the back end kind of okay. And
Exactly. They will be burned.
concept.
We're trying to have an hyper deflationary aspect into the project. I kind of like the idea of lowering the supply because people love to kill zeros. It's cool to have some less supply as well, and the price going higher and higher, and later on having like we have 1 quadrillion supply right now, and lowering the whole supply over a period of time is always a cool thing. People love to look at the BC scan, for example, and say, "Oh, we already burned 45%," and then they're happy when another 2% burn is coming in, and they really hype up, and the community is having great opportunities to create content around it. They're going onto Twitter, another 2% burn, check this, and I think it will be very funny when we finally arrive at 50% burn. Of the whole supply. I think this will be a cool mark, and everyone will flip out and celebrate it.
I agree. I mean, I'll say personally, I was pretty bullish on the idea when we first spoke, and it's nice to see that regardless of what happened, from a legality standpoint, you didn't just abandon the concept, right? Because we've seen stop orders come into the market hundreds of times, and the often result is that the project's kind of just dead forever, and it is what it is. But I will say I respect that you didn't abandon what you were trying to build here with this one. Even if it was maybe a little bit more difficult than you would have first envisioned with the multiple migrations. But I mean, for me, it's about kind of the future vision. There's always kind of bumps, I would say.
Yeah, it's always like
Just a little bit, just a
it's
little
never
bit
how you
dry.
imagine. it's it's always different than you plan it at the beginning. So especially in the crypto market, everything is evolving so quick. And as I mentioned before, the cool thing is about we really never have to abandon the project, and the project really never has to die because as long we have money in the portfolio, which simply cannot go to zero because you always whenever you buy back you have all as well the taxes applying and 6% going back in the portfolio, so it's refunds itself basically. um you don't have like the reason to abandon the project because as long money is in the portfolio, it always can grow or go lower from time to time. Then you DCA back into these assets, then it will go higher again, and simply it's like a big whale into our projects, like an Elon Musk that is trading all above us. Like the portfolio is the god of the whole project itself, and simply it cannot die and resustains itself because normally a project is bound to liquidity, that is bound to BNB, and whenever BNB is performing bad, the project is performing bad, and as well our liquidity is stored in BNB as well. But this doesn't really matter because we have the second support line that is diversified into different assets, so we can always compensate whatever is coming in.
Perfect. In terms of the community engagement, right? So I've seen a lot of success in this market with more of the kind of the grassroots shilling approach that we saw back in 2021 really working. How do you guys, again, for a utility project, it's a little more different because, it's not just pump the chart, let's see this baby moon. There's a lot of different complexities to it when people are coming in to understand. So how do you guys set your community up right to be able to push this thing around the space? Because again, that organic, growth that we're seeing lately, at least the last couple of weeks, has been really refreshing, but you need to prepare them with the proper messaging, especially with a project like this.
Yeah, so what we're doing is like giving some example videos out. We're working on infographics all of the time, doing some social media stuff for TikTok and Shorts and stuff like this, where we can explain it. And there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline as well right now. We really have some cool stuff going around all the time. Right now, for example, there is an contest going on where you can win up to $500 dollars portfolio token simply by leaving your comment on the Twitter influences with the hashtag portfolio and really try to get the hashtag organically trending. And people really love this, and they see they can win something. The first place, for example, $500 in portfolio token, the second place 150, and the third place 75. And they engage themselves because they know I might win something on one hand. On the other hand, if I don't win something, I help organically grow the project. And I think over the period of time, we really established ourselves a really cool community because they most of them really here from the beginning, who are really big believers. And as you mentioned at the beginning before, we're not just launched like some days old, but we're months old and still sitting on an ATH right now for a portfolio. The chart is not dipping at all, and it's looking kind of good for us. And the whole community is engaged. We have some people that are hired for shilling on Twitter and stuff like this, and getting a lot of these regular stuff out. And on the other hand, as I mentioned, we're trying to help out with infographics to make it really easy for people to understand who might not understand at the beginning. And as well, if someone joins in the group and has questions, even those people who are not mods in our group, they're always willing to help. They're always active. Like, you can come to our chat at any given time at the day, and someone will answer you in minutes or seconds.
I mean, I guess that's another question is, we spent some time touching on this in our first AMA, and I'm really happy I thought about it before we ended. Is what are you guys doing over there, Moby, to build up more of an educational hub or a library of material where people can educate themselves on, what is an ETF? Because I think a lot of people
Mhm.
in crypto or DeFi maybe don't even know that term, right? If you
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
got into the market as your first investment being crypto versus, the older generation often would get into, mutual funds, RRSPs through work, some kind of, stock associated investment plans. So again, for me, I think I want to touch on that because you did have a pretty cool idea, and I'm really glad I didn't miss it.
Yeah, we're still actually developing on it right now. Kind of want to have an educational platform for all of that stuff, like where we can explain these things. We applied some of it already to how to buy on Trustwallet, how to trade in PancakeSwap, onto our docs on our website. But we'll have another platform that is going into the direction of explaining how crypto works and stuff like this, and really trying to grab all of like the best explainings that you can find in the internet to explain some terminology around crypto. But I think the general trend, as I said, I have an investment banking background, and I see more and more young people are getting themselves more educated on how to actually invest. And it's quite a different thing that it was 10 years ago. So we're really moving into the thing where the younger generation is more curious about how to generate wealth over the time.
So is there now going to be, this is going to be just a completely free to use platform, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It will as well not have the name portfolio on it, but we can rather use it then to like it will say it's a product of Bank of Chains, which is as I mentioned before, like the word all above all of our products. But it will be a website where you can simply educate yourself on how to use DeFi, how to use stuff like Binance, how to actually top up your wallet, how to get a wallet, what is an ETF, what is a token, what is ERC20, what is BEP20, and explain all of these this stuff. And it's really quite a lot of work to do so and really do it in a good manner that you understand it. And so working on it is a is an like it's a mammoth-sized project, you could say, because it's different from doing a token or anything. It's something completely different that no one from our team did early on. So working on that is really hard. You will have to have an good usability. You will have to have it like explaining videos and stuff like this, and really producing all of the content takes time, and it will take some more time. But as I said, portfolio is going nowhere. We're here to stay. We will be here for a very, very long time. Our portfolio itself is self-sustaining, and we basically cannot disappear because of it. Um, uh, Basically, it's the only project that you will ever need to buy when you're into like blue chip tokens like BTC, Ethereum, and stuff like this. You can basically invest in the portfolio and benefit from the leveraged effect. And this is kind of cool. And we will do a lot of stuff to get educational purposes out.
Oh, I will say, the last question maybe I'll throw to you before I start opening it up to the community here is we've seen obviously banks and some of these centralized platforms on
Mhm,
the stock market start to offer these ETFs geared towards again the blue chips. How do you
mhm,
guys kind of again, because we talked about pulling in, normies or non-crypto people, how do you compete against people who would be able to invest maybe through comfortable tools? Because that's going to be at the end of the day, a large part of the overall audience in that ETF world, rather whether they're in DeFi now or not, right?
mhm. I think it's kind of a good thing because when more of these bigger organizations go into it, it's basically free marketing for us. Because I can guarantee you what will happen. Okay, mark my words. Let's skip 5 years ahead. We will have some big companies. I don't want to name any name or anything, but they will implement a big ETF and stuff like this. It will be very centralized, very regulated, and I can 100% guarantee what will happen. You will have an incident, just like the FTX thing, where all of the money in that ETF is gone, and then people will search for a decentralized alternative, and they will find us. So we can basically build upon all of the failures that will be ahead, and I can guarantee you they will be ahead. It's always the same thing. We're seeing it today again with Genesis going fighting for bankruptcy today, and just think about it, it's like one of the oldest exchanges, one of the biggest companies around crypto back in the day, and they filed for bankruptcy. And this is not the last company that will happen. And more people will find themselves self into DeFi, into the decentralized aspect, rather trading on chain instead of letting someone have their keys because it's simply more secure.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we've seen, um, I think that security aspect is something that the banks and like this the centralized world just can't really compete with. And again, that's why the push and why the value exists in this space. Again, you're gonna, you're looking at this over the long term because even crypto ETFs in the mainstream, again, are still relatively new
Young.
adoption,
Yeah.
right? So I would say, just keep that in mind. I always like to preface some of these bigger ideas and have you guys think more of the terms of a startup or how you would have to approach a business. Again, there's some more variables that exist, obviously within DeFi from a regulation standpoint, um, as people look to progress the market potentially. But I mean, yeah, I think that aspect you touched on in security is exactly why this space exists. And it still will take time for adoption to occur. Don't get me wrong, but it also
Yeah,
is still taking time in the mainstream for that adoption to occur. So, I think these two kind of go hand in hand. This product and this concept is still fairly new. And, with also the crypto market being, down 90% roughly from where it was last year, obviously this type of product is still it's lagging behind a little bit where it might be if we're in a bull market. So there's a few variables you obviously have to keep in mind when it comes to something like this, but I like to touch on them just so people are thinking in that mentality. And again, I really enjoyed the presentation. I would like to get some questions here though from our community if you got
sure.
some time for it. So we'll start off
I've
here
got
maybe
enough
with
time for
somebody
everyone. No worries.
we haven't heard from in a while. You know what? Haven't heard from Miss Red in a long time. He's typically here pretty actively. We'll see how his question game is these days.
Hey, Miss Red, what's your question? I hope he's there.
Yeah, well, oh, there he is. He's at the top there. Looks like he's back. Hey, Miss Red, you there?
Hello, Aaron.
Ah, yo, how you doing?
Yeah, we got you.
Thank, thank you for the privilege you gave to me. My question is that in the aspect of the KYC, how does your team plan to double your KYC?
Sorry, I didn't quite understand. Did you speak about KYC?
Yeah, how do you guys plan to? I don't know if he said develop or implement KYC. You'll
Hmm.
have to clarify that, but yeah. I know he
Yes.
was asking about the KYC.
Basically, we still have our KYC back from the day from GDS that is simply running because we're simply a migration of the project itself. Um, I think I will talk to the KYC giver and maybe just update it onto the new project, and then we have an active KYC going on again. But yeah, as I mentioned, I'm well known. I'm KYC to different parties, and as well, all of the team is KYC to each other. We actually met all together. We are three people in the main group. We met each other end of the last year. It was kind of cool, and yeah, so nothing to worry about at the KYC end because as you can imagine, if I wanted to run, then I could have run multiple times, and I'm putting in the work for months now, even when there was no movement on the chart or anything, and I still keep it 100 for every day.
Okay, okay, thank you for answering the question.
Thank you for the question, man.
Perfect. Yeah, and again, Misread, thank you for touching on that KYC component. It is very important, especially with a product like this. I know
Yeah,
having a good KYC process in place, obviously, as you scale up, maybe get more attention or eyes on you, make it, a lot more professional looking. Let's just say that. There's
yeah,
I don't know how the regulatory framework works. I can't act like I do. That would just be me pretending on stage. But what I will say is obviously the more legitimacy you put onto that side to have clear cut guidelines and frameworks in place in terms of amounts and how the KYC comes into play, it does help you as you scale. So that's kind of where I'll leave that.
exactly. Like we're thinking multiple times about getting the KYC and audit from Certic, for example. This is something that we want to do into later stages as well because I think it has a good reputation in the space. This is something even some people who are not 100% related to crypto might know, and yeah, this is something that we're going for in the next couple of weeks, months, depending on how we actually can perform with the money that is coming back into the project itself, and how we can afford it.
Perfect. So I'm gonna go here. Our next question to Greek. We'll get him in here. It's been a while. We don't always get him on stage, so always like to have him in.
Hey Greek, how
Telegram
you doing?
laggy. I'm just gonna, if it's okay, while he's asking, I'm just gonna leave the call
Hello,
quickly because TG, I feel like it's about to crash. So I'm just gonna
Yeah,
reset.
just no worries, reset it. Hey Greek,
hello.
how was your
Can you
question?
guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm very well. Awesome. How you doing, Moby Dick?
I'm doing perfectly fine. How about you?
Yeah, I'm very well. So okay, let me just head on to my question. So while going through your white paper, I saw a link that redirects to CoinStat. The value on the
Mhm.
link shows the value of the portfolio, if I'm correct.
Exactly. Um, Ignore the numbers that
Okay.
is under it because it's bugged because it's doesn't count in the USDC holding and stuff like this. So whenever you see there is a percentage up or percentage down, it doesn't matter. But the value on top of is correct. As well, you can find the value is the same value when you go into the BSC scan and input the wallet address from the portfolio. So it's 100% visible on the blockchain.
Yeah, I think you guys have done really great work, and this is actually very smart. Um, okay, so I would like to, approach my questions on the issue of, the profitability of the portfolio in itself,
Hmm.
because it is no, you guys are doing what you claim you want to do. The data is here.
Hmm.
I can't argue with what I'm looking at on my screen. But any random person, can come up with a portfolio like this, pick out the top 13, crypto, and then, just merge them into an ETF and say, oh, this is a portfolio. But then on the long term, I don't exactly think, this current portfolio setup would be profitable. It would be profitable, should we, bull market comes back, everything is going to pump, everything is going to be green. But when
Hmm.
it comes to the kind of returns you have promised on the white paper, I'm not so sure this assets would be able to give so huge returns. Most of the assets here probably in the bull market might do 3x, but there are tokens say in the top 100, top 200 that have the possibility of a 10x, 20x from their current position. So why are you not considering assets that have huge potentials? Because as far as I'm concerned, other than Bitcoin or probably Ethereum, most of
Hmm.
the other assets in the portfolio have similar risk. So why aren't you considering assets that have high rate of returns instead of the top 13 crypto in the space?
So basically, the idea of diversifying a portfolio is to look into the portfolio itself and give different percentages on the investment side. This is the reason why the Bitcoin End, for example, has the highest share in the portfolio, because Bitcoin is basically the front runner, the one of a kind that always determines where the market is going. This is the reason why we have a high share in it. And then on the other hand, we looked into it, like when we did the portfolio, for example, we added a slightly higher share than in Ethereum, than BNB at the beginning, for example, because back in the day there was no proof of stake update yet. So really going into calculation of what kind of problems or real life problems those token can basically determine and help us out with, and we decided to trade those tokens as the first portfolio. We were thinking about doing portfolios that are more volatile and more profitable in the future. But right now we're focusing on this portfolio because in terms of volatility, we can bring it to the lowest amount of risk and to a good amount of return instead of going for a very very high risk and a big chance to lose the complete value at one time or anything, and rather diversify it into more safe tokens as the first portfolio. Because yeah, you can I don't know, you can get some upcoming stuff in it like sandbox or stuff like this, and trying to build a portfolio around emerging markets and stuff like this, like you have in the ETF game. You will always find like different classified risk factors, and we try to go with the smallest one as the first portfolio because yeah, it's the smartest way to do so because you don't have risk of losing funds and stuff like this.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's quite correct. I feel should things change in the market. I think these are portfolio in itself as a project are one of the projects that would perform. Are you looking to add the native token for portfolio into your investment portfolio, or or the ETF in itself just looks to say more stable and more less riskier assets? What is your take on adding the native token inside of the portfolio? Because I feel not every it's a two-part question. Not everybody might be interested in the portfolio or in the investment itself. They just want to hold the token for a quick flip, or just
Mhm.
bet on the token or the token performance. And then also, okay, I think I lost my train of thought there. So can you answer the can you answer the first question while I try to. Okay, yeah. So the second question is going to be, say I have no interest in the native token, but I want to give you my money to, I want to be an LP to your ETF, or I want to provide
Mhm.
liquidity to your portfolio. How do I go about it without exactly buying into into your native token? Is there say okay, you can answer.
Yes. So we had a question already from Morris in the AMA. So there's no possibility right now to add liquidity to the portfolio itself, instead into the PTF token. Um, that is basically to save and accrue at the beginning of the token, and we add enough liquidity into the on project itself. But as Morris said, it's really interesting to have some ILOs and stuff like this, and I think this is something that we can focus on when we further developed the project into the new direction and made it altogether a little bit more professional and open for normal people. Then we could start and offer like ILOs for a portfolio or anything, or maybe make a new portfolio where this that have no native token. Instead, it goes for only ILO and stuff like this. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we could do, but nothing that will come in the close future. Sorry to let you down in that regard, but um, yeah, this is something we have in in our heads, in the back of our heads, but nothing we can do directly right now. Sorry, what was your first question again? Because we spoke so much, I forgot the first question. Greek, what was your first question before the
Sorry,
liquidity
I,
question?
I, I was speaking. Yeah. So I said, are you open to add your own, token inside of the portfolio?
So inside of the portfolio, no, we're not adding like the our own token into in the portfolio, and we're not adding like it would be a little weird because when you buy back and then DCA with a higher price and the portfolio itself, it would be a little bit in conflict of interest, I think. But yeah, something that we don't want to do, and like there will be no changes normally going on, only like in big incidents that would happen. For example, if XRP is losing the lawsuit and stuff like this, and then you could basically we would decide to remove it from the portfolio itself. But there's no real reason to really change up anything in a portfolio right now, because we did the math some month ago on it. We had like in half a year of testing on the portfolio dominance and performance with some AI testing and stuff like this. And it's kind of good how it is right now.
Well, I think I must, commend your portfolio. The way you've picked up assets together inside of the portfolio, and to be honest, I'm willing to, take a book from your entire portfolio arrangement. You guys are doing awesome work, and I think
Thank you.
I still feel people are sleeping on what you guys are building. You guys really, 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 really are going to be successful with this. I think I don't, say this about so many projects, but I with the kind of with what I'm looking at, I honestly, truly believe you guys are going to be successful as a team and as a project. Thank you very much, Maurice. Thank you very much, Bidik.
Thank you, man. Thank you for the awesome questions and thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it because all of the team and all of the community is putting engagement and all of their time and all of their work into the project. And we really see that we are having more and more success daily. And I think we can further adapt into the new year. And I think we have a long journey ahead of us. And where the portfolio will have its best time is, I think, whenever the bull run appears and when people see how actually the high percentage of leverage will hit in, then we will have more eyes on us and people will try to understand the concept and some normies coming in and then we will have an even better time. Let's see, is Morris back in the call? Morris, are you back?
I've been here listening. That was a
Ah,
good
okay.
question. I appreciate the good discussion, Greek. He hosts for some other projects as well, so
Mm,
he definitely knows his stuff in terms of asking a team. So I got a question here from the audience that I'm going to read out. This is from Maximus. He said, "I like the structure of the project and the fund. However, I'm just trying to figure out how flexible it is based on your last comment to, different changes in the space or in technology."
mm-hmm,
So that's his question. And then Vladlin, who's like helping me out with my questions and stuff while my coordinator's away. He was just saying at the bottom when he sent it to me, he's like, I'd use the recent trend, of AI based projects as an example,
mm.
would you guys
Yeah, there's some
consider
cool
maybe
stuff like
buying into tech?
Fetch.io and stuff like this. Those are great projects, 100%. But I think right now, if you look at the portfolio, all the projects you see are really on the higher end of market caps and really established products already. And for stuff like this, for example, when we see there is a trend going around with AI and stuff like this, we might consider to build another portfolio in that time when we see like there is a market occurring that is completely new and we have enough stuff because building such a portfolio and diversified is really um, like really a hard topic and you have to really test it because as I mentioned before, even before we launched back in the day, we worked like I think at least half a year on it all year and just to see how everything is evolving and developing and how the performance is of the portfolio and stuff like this over the price falls daily. So really simulated everything in there and doing changes on a portfolio would be like crucial in terms of our expected return and that's the reason why we try not not to clown around uh, clown around too much with the portfolio and to do changes and stuff like this. But I think when we speak about new markets and seeing all of, as I mentioned before, Fetch.io and stuff like this, all of these AI products that are coming out on the blockchain, then we will have an good idea of building new portfolios that concentrates itself around that. Like there's always we could always like just launch a new portfolio and say, hey, this time it's an uh, higher volatile portfolio and a little bit more risk, but have higher returns and stuff like this. And this is something that we're looking into as well, but not right now because managing this project to success is our number one topic right now, and having another portfolios on the side would probably lower my performance in this project, and that's why the reason why we first focus on this before we further develop into different asset classes.
Sounds good, and I appreciate that. And good question, Maximus. Thanks for sending that to Vlad. Vlad, I appreciate you, putting a little spin on that as well. We'll go here to maybe Crypto King, see what he's got today. We'll try Damien. Maybe go to Young God. It's been a long time. We'll get maybe two, three more questions in. Try and close out in the next 10 minutes. I was supposed to go
Sure.
sit on an AMA for a different group.
Yeah, we
No,
made it a
it's
bit
not like
long
an
this
official
time.
AMA. They just asked if I would come by, and I said that I would, try and be there before it closes. So, again, it's been really good getting you back on, and I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll have you here. It's going to be that's going to be fun to monitor too, because as you guys grow,
Yeah, hello, can
the
you hear me?
reawareness and kind of reconnect with some of those older communities too. I think, even for me, when I found out, I was like, oh, okay, sweet. I'm excited to get them back on and host it because I love the vision and the concept of what you were trying to build. And yeah, so again, we'll get our next question. I think they should be unmuted there at the top. If you're ready,
Yeah,
King.
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, all right, thanks for the opportunity. Really nice seeing the works today. Have a lot of AMAs. Nice work, Maurice. Really hard working. So, really like your project. Have a few questions. So, um, during the migration process, the purchase rate should be maintained, and only the sale rate should be increased. To bring in new holders during this process, is it possible?
So, sorry, I didn't understand. You said with meanwhile the migration process, or what did you say? Sorry, can you repeat it maybe?
So I said, during the migration
Hmm.
process,
Hmm.
the purchase rates should be maintained, and only the sale rate should be increased. So I'm asking to bring new holders during this process. Is it possible?
We already like the migration process is already like it's not over because you can still manually migrate from the token beforehand like to a one-to-one exchange, but only when you bought into the date which when we ended the allowed date. So when someone tries to buy V1 obviously right now and then tries to migrate, we have to say it doesn't work. But anyone who bought before we migrated over and before we did the announcement, they still are able to migrate over. And at the moment, we already launched with the new portfolio, so it's already launched. We're having kind of a cool market cap right now. I think we're sitting around 440K on PooCoins, which is like 560K around in real. I can post it in the Caesar group real quick into the comments, then you will have the chart. Uh, this I'm posting it right now. You will have the PooCoin chart in there in the Caesar channel message he last wrote. Then you will have the chart of our project right now, which is basically one big green candle. Do you have any other question?
Yeah, I got another question. So does the migration to V2 have to be done with the whole wallet at once, or like can you do it several times during like these 2 weeks?
Yes, you can do it whenever you want to do it. So as I said, you can simply it doesn't matter if you do it in a year or in two or whatever. You can always migrate over if you still hold the tokens and you say, okay, I'm migrating over because I don't know, some people at the beginning, for example, at the migration phase, they had trust issues and didn't want to migrate, so they only proceeded to send half of the token and stuff like this. We all had these kind of things, and then we simply just split all of the stuff up. So there's no problem in it.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. I don't know if you've really touched on it. Will the team tokens Will the team have tokens from the new contract? And if yes, how many?
No, we don't have any tokens from the product, and I don't allow my core team to buy tokens as well because I see this as an conflict of interest because I don't want to have someone from the team benefit from the token and then sell it off or anything. And I don't want to hold token or anything. Basically, how the team is paid is by having 1% tax for the maintenance, which is basically the team member and all of the costs, like the big server that we have at hosting and stuff like this. And all of the stuff that has to be paid, and all of the team members are getting paid from the 1%. And as well, we didn't use that 1% for like 90% of the time. Just now, after the rebranding, we firstly using the 1%. Beforehand, we used all of that stuff, all of that money that was basically normally for us, we used it instead for marketing.
All right, yeah, thanks for that. Thanks, Maurice, for the opportunity. You're doing a good work here. Thanks, Maurice.
Thank you, man.
King, we'll get Damien up next. I did have a question. We'll see what Damien's question is, but I'll maybe jump in with one after that. Because I
Sure.
don't think it's come up from anybody or any of the questions I've seen. So go ahead, Damien.
Yeah, I just want to know what kind of security aspects do you have to make sure that this portfolio is safe?
Mhm.
And do you plan on adding any extra security measures to make, as the portfolio grows, to make
Mhm.
sure that it's safe? Thank you.
Right now, the security is that I've talked about it in the first AMA that we had. Um, I'm the only one who's in control of the contract. I'm the only one who's in control of the portfolio. And what we have as a security measurement is that I'm using a laptop that is not connected to any social media, to nothing. Like nothing sits on this computer. It's not connected to my home network as well. So if I get infiltrated in here from at my personal computer and stuff like this, there will be no connect to the portfolio wallet, and we use it that way to ensure that I basically cannot get hacked or anything because the laptop is only used to DCA all of the assets, and it's used to write functions in the contract, which is basically like never, because right now it's only sitting at normal text. We have no event going on or whatsoever. But what would be the case is that, for example, like mid of a month, like every mid of the month, I'm doing the buyback when the portfolio was profitable, and that's the time when I use the laptop, and afterwards it's getting back into safe.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, the portfolio just made another 1K. We're sitting at 166K and $119.
That's
And so my
awesome.
question is about kind of at what point in the project would you guys look to start approaching like VCs or stuff for funding to really like scale this up?
This is a good question, and I really like the idea of having VCs in it and really going big with it. But on the one side, it's very hard to do so because all of the regulation that are going on with crypto, especially when it comes to financial products like ours, it could be that the whole thing would be classified as insecurity, for example, and really hard to get all of this stuff going on. And right now, it's not profitable enough for me to live off the project. We only made like small amounts of the project. As I mentioned before, we don't have team tokens. We only have 1% from all of the stuff that is going on. But I think in the long time vision, the 1% would be more than it could be in any time from tokens or anything. And as soon as we have in time where it's profitable enough, I would set myself into going to a different country and then proceed to build a company around it, and yeah, get deals done with VCs and everything. But right now we're not big enough in the project itself, I think, and really need some more time to expand further on that. I think A realistically goal, I think, is whenever we see the bull run and the Bitcoin halving 2024 will happen. I think that will be a great time and as well a lucrative time where we can further expand on these thoughts.
Perfect. And then there was another question here from Cherry Berry.
Mhm.
If you guys would create a portfolio specifically for arbitrage opportunities or people who are interested in that type of thing from, cross chain or, just in
Mhm.
general in the space.
Yeah, basically you could build on so many different topics. I mean, if you go into the ETF world, just think about what is going on there. You have like, for example, like one of the bigger ones that might everyone know of you is S&P or MSCY, and you will see so many different platforms in there. You will have emerging markets. You will have ETF that are purely forcing themselves on like classified as health ETFs from where they have like all big pharma industries in it and stuff like this. So um, there's like millions of possibilities how to build a portfolio and go niche it down. And I think this is something that we will do in the future as well. But right now we were rather focusing on the main portfolio before we do extensions because it would like split our performance as a team. We would need the money and the resources to handle all of this stuff together, and that's the reason why we first focus on only portfolio on the main portfolio instead of creating new ones.
Awesome. Appreciate that. So, if that's okay, I would like to just kind of get moving towards the closing statements and wrap
Sure.
the up. But again, really a pleasure chatting with you, Moby. I do really enjoy the concept here, and again, it's not going to be something that's going to completely like take off overnight, like you said. It's all about that slow, consistent growth, not only in the
Exactly.
portfolio itself, but also, just getting people back in the community because you do have a good sized community. I know it was really active previously. So again, it's just all about getting that life back in there. You still have a good number of online, but I know that, if you think about the run up of GDS, that at its
Hmm.
peak, what the community was like, I remember because I was in there hanging out for a little bit, and it was
Yeah.
a great vibe to be a part of. So I know there's a lot of really active members that again are in there, but maybe just hiding a little bit dormant with the way the market's been and everything that happens. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for you guys. I mean, I've always enjoyed hosting you. This concept is one that I think a number of the members of our community, may need a little bit more education on what an ETF is and really how this one
Exactly.
works specifically. But I think, it's one, like I said, more touch points you get to it, the more exposure you get, the more times people see the name. And then for me, even once I connected the dots, I got excited because I was like, okay, this is something I liked previously. I can't wait to hear kind of what the next stage holds. So I'll pass you the mic to officially close things out, but I'm just really happy to see that again, you stayed true to your vision here on this one and you have still been despite, market conditions and some of those other variables that came into play, you've been positive and really just pushing through for what you believe in. So I'll throw you the mic to close out, but as always, it's really been a good time hanging out with you here.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Morris. Always a pleasure to have you in here. I just want to say thank you for everyone, and I just want to say everyone who's still raising their hands right now, feel free to DM me in Telegram. I will try to answer you as quick as I can, but I get like hundreds of DMs an hour right now because we're in such a crunch phase with the project. And if you still have further questions, feel free to join the Telegram, join the community. You don't have to invest. Just come around, catch a little vibe or anything. Like if you just want to hang out, if you have some time to educate yourself on what we're doing and want to take a glimpse of how the community is evolving, as I said, you don't need to invest. Just come into the group and catch how all of the people are integrated in the interactions of all of the people together in here, and I think you will like it. And this would be a promising start, and you will learn about the whole topic, and then you will find it interesting, and then you will 100% invest because I can't stress this enough. Our liquidity right now is very, very small. we're having a liquidity of around 50K, but we have a $128,000 with the current BNB price in liquidities that will be bought back. The first 30,000 at least minimum in April. The rest of it will be like I think in June or July, and when the liquidity from V1 runs out. And on the other hand, we have buybacks and burns every month when the portfolio is performing. You can just see the portfolio works perfectly fine. We had in like around 5K increase just in the time we're talking here in the AMA, and yeah, I don't know. Thank you for everyone. Thank you for Morris for having me in. Thank you for Caesar for this awesome community, and thanks for the team for working with me. And I don't know. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to CZ from Binance for giving us the best blockchain available. And yeah.
Perfect. Well, again, Moby, I was just, you can even ask Shelly, like once I was like, wait, is this? And she's like, yeah, it is. I was like, oh, so I get to host Moby? She's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, wicked. Awesome. I'm excited for that then. So yeah, no, again, it's always great to chat with you, man. And I'm just, again, I am a big believer of hard work. So I'm just happy to know that regardless of, some of those curveballs that maybe got thrown your way, you stayed, true to your vision, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, I think there's a lot more positivity in 2023 than there were last year. So, well, I'm excited for the way things may move this year. So, I'm just happy to see you guys are active. Obviously, you had a good relaunch, so the community, I'm sure, will come back over time, and based on the last one and what people thought about the concept. I mean, the fact that it even got the attention of an entity that big, I think, is impressive too. So,
Mhm.
I'm excited for the future, and let's see where it goes, man.
Thank you, Morris. I think this is not the last time we spoke to each other. I think we will see us multiple times in the future again, and I'm already hyped for the next time.
Yeah, just make sure. I don't know if I got you to add me as a contact last time. Just make sure. I never really told people to before because I was never limited, but just make sure you add me as a contact. If you ever need to reach out that way, I could always kind of respond quickly if I'm
Yeah,
I'm a day
sure.
or two behind. So, again, great chat with you, man. As always.